Yeah, so good mulligan there. Let's see if his starting hand's going to be any better now.
Yeah. He's hiding it. Oh, there's a gut thread. That's pretty good to see in the matchup.
Yeah. God thread, very important here. Might have even been two. There are a couple events in his hand, so we'll have to see exactly what they are.
I think the only target here is the Hachan. Not ideal, but I'm not sure what the rest of Luca's hand is here. He has a Mihawk, an Arlong. He'll be able to establish some board presence, but really the key piece you want to find at some point in this matchup is the Akos Mihawk, because... Oh, that card, yeah. People are being really clumsy with their lives on stream today.
Yeah, I think this is maybe the third person. There's a match before where they flipped over their last life. I think it was Teach, maybe. But, yeah.
Okay, so for 3 down, it's just going to be Mihawk into... the only option I see is Arlong, which is, I guess, fine because you lock down the Luffy leader attack. The part that sucks is it gets gut threaded. Or maybe he doesn't even have to do it. He can just swing and restand the Arlong. But then he's getting attacked into face by up Luffy. The upside is then next turn he can swing Arlong, restand it by bouncing Mihawk, and then again with Mihawk play something for 3 down if he draws into, for example, Cavendish or something. And yeah, it does appear he's not going to be using Arlong, valuing the actual cards in his hand. Yeah, and he bounces back the Nami. He will have the search next turn. And Luffy counters with the 2k, so that's already a piece of information that's going to be immediately relevant to Luca.
Yeah, especially that 2k being Usahachi is very important information to keep track of. But I think that this turn is basically just always going to be God Thread. It's just if he can do something else with that extra only he's going to end up with.
I think it will just leave them open and threaten Bagua if Luca decides to like go swing, swing, swing. Because Miho can swing as well. Like 2 down, he still gets those 6Ks in. But it is going to be the God Thread that is most painful. And Luca is just digging for engine pieces. That's a Sabo. Not terribly useful once your board starts falling apart to various disruption. But despite the 2 down open, Luca is still free to attack at least once because Gaetano is at 3 life. So the Bagua is not live.
Yep. Yeah, at the very least, this first attack isn't that threat of the Bagua, but you will have to consider from the second one, maybe, if you choose to go for it with the Mihawk. But Mihawk having 4,000 power, probably just going to end up being fuel for his leader effect instead of actually being an attacker.
Yeah, the ideal card to play here, I don't see it in Luca's hand, is the 5-cost law, because 5-cost law can just bounce back the Mihawk, and Mihawk can then play the extra body anyways. And that's how you try to go as wide as possible in the matchup. Luca, once again, playing the Nami, the East Blue pieces. We saw him top deck Vanderdecken. Vanderdecken comes up huge in this matchup if you're healthy enough to not get killed by the bodies that get rested as Apulfi plays the game. Might be a tad optimistic, but we see the Aron here solving kind of 2 problems at once, because now Gaetano does not get to hit Zoro Sanji, reducing the threat of Sanji Pudding. And the only way he can really get aggressive is if he has a Rush Luffy of sorts, either the 8-cost or the 9-cost, at which point they get immediately answered by Vanderdecken, and Luca can like kind of start gaining control of the game because he can do the Mihawk play into Vanderdecken. And another thing this Arong did is it reduced his hand size a little bit. It's not much, but it is another deterrent to Sanji and Pudding. Sorry, not just to just Pudding, the Blue Pudding, whacking your hand away and removing that Mihawk, which, due to an unfortunate slip of hand, Gaetano does know that Luca has in his hand.
The slip of hand has been an important factor all day today. Yeah. But yeah, that is a little bit of information that's going to be actually surprisingly useful.
So the biggest obstacle for Luca is going to be whether he can have a body that he can restand every turn, because Mihawk is very valuable in letting you survive, but you need something to actually make use of the leader ability and get those hits in to finish off Apulfi. It's like a bunch of mini games you have to play together to navigate this matchup, and Luca is really good at those. Western Sim is I don't know how much you guys test, but it's a sea of up Luffy. Like, I would say every second match is up Luffy at this point on Sim. And if it's not up Luffy, there's a strong chance it's just Bonnie.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that going into this tournament, like, he was definitely prepared for this matchup. I think that, I mean, if you've come this far, you've likely hit one. So I'm confident that he knows how to play out this matchup. But he just really needs to get one of these cards to start sticking onto the board so you can start to snowball the game.
Can you guys tell Herway to update his Saka guide? Okay, first things first, that was not a guide. That's what I always said. It's like more of me rambling about the deck's position in the meta, and eventually kind of giving up because of up Luffy. Because I was really happy with the build. I don't know how to improve it, but it's not a guide. Stop calling it. I know it's maybe on guide quality of some other guides, but I don't consider it a proper guide. I will throw up an update after PRB2 though, because there are some interesting cards in there. But after steering off topic, I think we will see some swings coming in from Luka. He doesn't have to go for any insane board protection on this turn yet. He can just go 3/6s even, or like 7/6/7. If he's not afraid of losing the 3-cost Mihawk. There's really no way for him to comfortably develop a another attacker besides what he already has. Oh, I didn't name any names,
for the 7K swing with the Mihawk. Yeah, this 8-cost Mihawk's actually quite nice in this matchup. It's not a target that's in range of any of Blue Purple Luffy's removal, so it is guaranteed to stick on the board, although it can't be restood by Zoro Sanji's leader effect. Is still a significant blocker that, I mean, as we've seen, the Fordong that you get active is going to be very helpful for Zoro Sanji.
When you think about it, it's like the 6-cost Luffy, but a little underpowered version in a sense, because you have to wait longer to play him out. But in this matchup specifically, him being 8-cost makes it very difficult for up Luffy to deal with. Like, they can only do it with Red Rock.
Yeah, plus the card being a slash within this deck being searchable off of Pidon is very nice for consistency as well. Yeah. So you're not forced to run too many copies of it, and you can still pretty reasonably find it if you can get those. And importantly, though, Luka hasn't been able to find that Pidona, but at the very least was still able to find the Mihawk in the end.
I believe he also has the Vivi, which should let him like aggressively counter out in these positions, because this is where the game gets grindy. He'll have to defend his life while putting himself in a position to take out opposing big bodies with the fish. I did the pose IRL, but you guys cannot see it. But the pose that Vanderdecken does in his art.
Yeah. One thing that I always think about for these top cuts that are best of 3 in the West is that I feel like if you're playing these sorts of grindy decks, you know, Blue Purple Luffy and Zoro Sanji, both decks that do tend to go a little bit longer in the game, I wonder if you even have time to really go to a game 3. It feels like this first game is very important.
I mean, both, like when Zoro Sanji pops off or up Luffy bricks, the game can end really quickly as well. So it's not like a guaranteed grind game. Like if you just open for example, if there was no God threat this game, I think this game might have already been on the verge of, or like on the precipice of ending. Now we're gonna see an actual game played, which is nice in its own way. Of course, once again, I'm biased. I'm rooting for Luka. Not ashamed to admit it. He's also playing the more fun deck. But we have a game on our hands. This is where it might actually drag out, and then we might have a very disappointing and quick games 2 and or 3. So,
hey, I mean, we're here to showcase the potential of green, blue, Zoro, and Sanji. So even if every single game isn't going to be the highest level, we've already been able to show some very interesting things in the game before. And this game, although he hasn't been able to draw as insane of a curve as he did in the game before, still being able to maneuver it quite well, getting in those extra hits where he can, even with that Mihawk, which many people don't really consider as an attacker.
Yeah, I mean, he is just subpar compared to all the 6K options the deck runs naturally, but as it stands, it becomes difficult to field any other attacking threats. Maybe if he has a 5-cost a lot to play, he can do that, but otherwise 4 costs are exposed to a very important card. The same card that drags Rayleigh down, which is the 8-cost Luffy, just bouncing them back to hand while hitting away.
Yeah, the 8-cost Luffy being able to almost double clear effectively by hitting into the board as well as bouncing back another character makes it pretty difficult for Zoro Sanji to actually establish board. If this was, for example, OP13.
Of a search.
Ooh.
Yep.
It's hard. It looks like it, yeah. missed the search. Pretty devastating, but thankfully Zoro Sanji is able to just retrieve Nami back to hand. So net 0 in terms of hand loss, but unfortunately he's going to lose the Tudong that he spent for that Nami.
Yeah, he effectively paid Tudon to restand the 7k attacker. So trading Tudon for a card from opponent's hand at the end of the day, and I expect him to play another one of the Arlongs he's holding in his hand and lock down the leader for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these 7k attacks in Blue Purple Luffy, a deck that has a lot of high power counter events, but these 7k attacks are going to chip away at his resources. Even a lot of recently not even running 8 2ks, some even running 5 to 6. So 7k could be a threshold to bully Blue Purple Luffy at.
Yep, and there's still the Mihawk who always threatens swinging. We'll see whether Luca values. Oh, this is kind of big because Luca has held a large hand size and was probably thinking about the threat of pudding, but now that pudding is gone, so he's a lot less afraid of, like, what is that, 8 or 9 cards in hand. Now that thing is completely gone as a threat. And this attack coming through sort of indicates that there is no Thunder Bagua or Gear 2 in Gaetano's hand, because why would you not take the quote-unquote free counter here if you could? So I'm expecting this to be Arlong. I'm not sure if he has any other... Oh, there's a sub, I guess.
Oh, yeah, goes for the Subble. Gaetano just making sure of the effect. I believe that it only protects your 7 cost or less characters.
Yeah. So it only protects the Mihawk, the small Mihawk on the board, not the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... I said it and I was like, wait, they're both Mihawks. That's actually a funny thing about the Zoro Sanji. You can build a deck with a lot of Mihawks if you want to, because there's also the Buu 2k Mihawk and the Buu 9 cost Mihawk, which is much less realistic to play, but if you want to have a deck of Mihawks, I think green plus blue is the color to do it with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the Subble, for people at home who do not remember, it's a 4-cost 5,000, 2,000 counter with the type Dressrosa and Revolutionary Army, and when a character with a base cost of 7 or less that's not Subble is removed from the field by the opponent's effects, then you can instead return this card to your hand. In this situation, it's not going to do a whole lot as the 7 cost or less characters are already rested. So you just need to swing into them, but just establishing that body to essentially become an attacker in the next turn could be something to consider.
Yeah, I think he just wants the attacking option, because he needs to keep establishing bodies to be able to abuse the leader swing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure you want to establish bodies, but I'm curious that he chose to play Subble over the Arlong. I feel like getting the...
Does he have an
Even
Arlong?
if it ends up getting...
I figure he doesn't when he didn't play it, but I initially thought he did, but yeah, I'm not sure anymore.
Okay. Sorry, I was just going off what you're saying. But if he doesn't have... Oh, no, it looks like he has an Arlong.
There is an Arlong.
As the 4th card from his left. Because I feel like if you're expecting the character to stay on the board, you'd rather play the brick onto the board that also has 6,000 power. Dropping the 2k onto the board, yes, it has protection, but currently it's not protecting too much, so maybe setting up for the next turn, actually. Ooh. But regardless, it is going to be bottomed. Luca just making sure that that is actually possible. But yeah, Subble is also called Subble, so it will be removed by this Mihawk. Surprisingly, lots of Mihawks on the board.
Yeah, this is where Vanderdecken is going to start coming into play, but also where Luca runs into another type of problem, where he doesn't have a body to restand with the leader. And that's the thing where you kind of become wasteful with resources when you cannot get those free attacks in. And he might have to start leaving this 8k Mihawk, a big body, active to just not die to the threat that Blue Purple represents. So it's a sticky situation for him. He could just go double Vanderdecken and then play the Arlong to lock down the leader, and then he should be safe. But it's going to cost him a lot of cards in hand. So if Mihawk does swing into life, or even worse, big into Mihawk, his board could just die. But maybe he just kills the Rosinante with attacks, and then he can save some of the Vanderdecken plays and play a Nami instead, get a Surge.
Yeah, hitting into the Rocinante does play around Gear Second, as Gear Second can't protect the characters on board. So trying. Oh, did he go into leader?
I'm not sure. I will assume the judge. Should I go check just in case?
I mean, I'm not sure. I assume that he must have went into leader. The fact that, like, I'm sure Luca also knows how Gear Second works. And okay.
Yeah, I had it confirmed with the stream judge. It went into the leader, so we're all fine here. Also, the sub art is from Best Selection Volume 4, which has released like a couple, maybe last week, with like no good cards aside from the Sabo and the Lafitte, which I think we even saw the Lafitte earlier on stream when Yura was playing Teach in round 8 and round, I don't know, 5.
Yeah, at least in Japan, the Lafitte alone is almost the same price as the entire binder. So it is something worth getting. But yeah, the other cards in that weren't necessarily that great.
It's not a Bandai Carfest release, it's just a general shop release as well. I'm responding to YouTube comments. Okay, so Luca is deep in the tank. Perona found another Mihawk. That's actually really important.
Yep. Being able to play this second Mihawk and then hopefully chain it into a character that you can actually start to resend with your leader effect could be quite nice. Looks like he's just going to go for the 2 costs. Yeah,
just Vander deck and bounce, pop.
Woo. Oh, this is probably why he held on to the Arlong. To make sure that he had a target for his Vander Decken.
I think
I wasn't keeping track of how many
he still has 2 Hutchins, but I understand not wanting to discard 2Ks for, or at least not too many 2Ks, because you do need them to be able to defend your board as well.
Yeah, but I mean, he did also, by playing the Subble, lose a 2K. So in the end, they do kind of have a similar sort of role. But by doing it this way, I guess he still has more Fishman 2Ks in his hand. So if the game starts to go longer and longer, then those Hutchins will start to become fuel for the Vander Decken as well. Double Vander Decken. Woo!
Yeah, with strike
and this
pose.
time crashing the hut now.
Still, this is not that dandy for Luca because he's really running out of resources. He didn't see Vivid this game. He didn't see the 5-cost law. So his ability to loop these things decreases with every card played. Whereas if Luffy just plays another Sanji, he's in a really commanding position because he has too many big bodies active, which Vander Decken will not answer.
Yeah, and Zoro Sanji still doesn't have a optimal target for his leader effect to restand, so can't really put the pressure on a blue purple V as well. Right now, he's just trying to, and he's slowly losing resources as he does so.
Yeah, depending on how Luffy plays this, there is a chance Luca just tries to all in with the Vander Decken or the Perona on the board with like 7k first swing, then 8k leader, and then how much does that leave? Oh, I guess it would be 8 or 7, 8. 8, 9 would be the attempt if you were to go for it with this current board.
It's very tricky, especially now that we've seen Gear Second. Pretty sure that the attacks won't be able to go through even if he goes for it, but he may be forced to soon.
Well, one upside though is that we did see from Luffy. Wait, oh yeah, Resante was Vander Decken. We did see him counter a 6k with a 2k. So Luca might have a decent read that there is no 2ks in Gaetano's hand, so he might just swing 6s and get away with it.
Yep.
Or sorry, I meant 1ks, not 2ks.
Yeah, no 1ks in hand. Yeah.
I think we see that he did draw into the 5-cost Nami.
Yeah, blue purple Luffy, I mean, because he's able to basically choose the 2 cards that he draws a single turn, even if you are suffering for 1Ks or 2Ks, quickly mend that problem. But just knowing that they only have maximum, or I mean, you have information on one of them, so maximum 1K is some relevant information within these sorts of situations.
And I think Gaetano is currently facing an interesting situation. He's like takes opponent's graveyard, check the number of like 2Ks non-counters. But what when it's the deck when you're playing is the first time, what number of 2Ks do they run? What number of bricks do they run? Like, what do you actually know about? Ooh, this is potentially brutal. Is he just gonna go for it?
Is he going to go for it? I don't know.
I mean, 10 is a lot, and Luka doesn't have a lot of a hand, so...
Yeah, I wonder if he needs to go for it, though. Because he still has a lot of counter events in his hand, but... I mean, this could potentially get hard to deal with. Doesn't look like he's brave enough to go for it quite yet. This is another benefit of playing these underplayed, underrepresented decks, is that you don't know generally how much counter they tend to have in game scenarios.
Yeah, like he counted the 2Ks and now he's like, I don't actually know what's in that hand. Though, to be fair, there was no filtering. There was like no Cavendish. But you're probably... There's a lot of things to think about. There's no Dawn open. You don't know if they might be running Paradise Waterfall for the Mihawk. Or maybe a Zero Cost just to cover the bricks. And he chooses to play it safe with the 7K swing. I think Luka has no problem dealing with it and then answering the Mihawk. So this could be where the game starts to turn. As long as he has a way to discard something for the Vanderdecken.
Yeah, I mean, he already has the tools in play. He just needs to have that Vanderdecken target.
Oh,
Mihawk on the board, if he can...
I think he just drew it.
Did he?
He drew another Vanderdecken, so I think that will work conveniently for him.
Yeah. Importantly, Vanderdecken can trash other copies of Vanderdecken, so the deck doesn't have to run too many Fishmen to actually have targets. I think recently, not many people play Zoro Sanji, but historically people have run things like the 7-cost. But it turns out that with just Vanderdeckens, the 4-cost Arlong, and Hachang, you usually have enough targets because you have so many cards in your hand. Thanks to things
and
like
I just realized an interesting thing. Gaetano is playing around Hody because you assume when there's a Vanderdecken there will be Hody. So that's another reason that his attacks get texted in late game. Oh, that was a Koshiro, but small blockers are not that relevant in the matchup primarily because of Azop, like 3-cost stressed a blocker. And as for updates on Calgara, sadly we don't have, or like I don't have a way to go and grab the results from the other tables in Top Cut, because first of all I'm like 20 meters away from them so that none of the players can hear me. And yeah, they're playing. I cannot really barge in and go ask the score, and there's no way to see it in the Bandai app live as they play. But I will refresh periodically the bracket and see if any of the matches have finished, and then I'll try to say how the games have went. So Luka, I think, is facing a curious decision. He can play like Arlong and a Vanderdecken, and then he locks the leader attack, but does he risk attacking with the Mihawk? Because that completely exposes him to a rush character. And he's gonna have no hand if he commits to the 4-cost Arlong.
Well, he is playing it though, just making sure that Luffy has no hits on the board.
Just for the extra body. And it's kind of convenient that it's a 4-cost, because if there is a... What's his name? 8-cost Luffy played to rush, it's going to bounce the conveniently Fishman target back to hand for Vanderdecken to clear next turn, because all those rushers immediately tap themselves. So yeah, this is entering grindy territory. We're like almost half an hour into the match, and still no end in sight. At some point, it will probably be Luka who is forced to all in, just because up Luffy, he doesn't have to do anything special to get his resources. He just draws 2 cards. And the longer the game goes, the higher the chances he sees multiple Gum Giants. Meanwhile, Luka does have a limited number of Fishmen in deck, so that Vanderdecken cannot keep popping forever.
I mean, both players' hands are starting to get low, though, and Zoro Sanji's been slowly taking back the board thanks to that Vanderdecken. So, although Blue Purple Luffy is going to always have the resource advantage, it may just not be enough if he can't start to deal with the onslaught of attacks that can finally come out due to that leader effect from Zoro Sanji.
Yeah, but the problem is, for those attacks to come through, Luka needs to establish a body, and if if Gaetano focuses on keeping the double swingable body off the board, then Luca is still like in the. He hasn't fully established. Like once that happens, you are in the clear. But
Yep.
until then, we will see how Gaetano. Okay, he's playing the Nami, and unless he has God Thread, I think this may be the turning point in the match.
Oh, he picks up the God Thread.
Yeah,
though,
but
from
at
the
this point
draw.
he can. At this point he cannot play that. I meant when he tapped the 5. If that is the God Thread, then it's the right move. But like this,
Yeah.
I think Luka just breathed a sigh of relief. He gets to double attack. He gets to replay the VV. He doesn't have to get Wander deck and back to hand this turn. Like now the world is his playground. Or like he definitely has a much better chance because he can still leave the Mihawk active. He's still in a safe position. He's just gonna draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, I mean, finally, it feels like for the first time in this game, after 30 minutes of this best of 3, Zoro Sanji has been able to stick a 4-cost onto the field. Okay, there is 2K. Uzahachi once more going to bounce back the VV, restand Arlong to threaten another 7K minimum at the leader.
Yeah, and I think Luka's just gonna focus on developing more and more bodies to make sure he can close the game. Because you usually finish this game with a bunch of small swings. It's not, you don't need the big attacks to claw through.
Yeah, the second that you hit with big attacks, you just make their Gungo Giant easier and easier to use. So just chipping away little by little is going to be the way to beat this.
One upside for Gaetano is that next turn when he starts attacking, Luka is kind of forced to start with counters rather than getting the free block. So unless he has a 5-cost flow to, for example, pick up the VV and replay her, which he might draw off of the VV to be fair. If he doesn't have that, he will have to start countering because he will lack the second blocker to like insulate him in case of Uzuhachi or something. I mean, the first deck he always has to counter because of the Nami as well. Yeah. Okay, so here comes Vivi. Oh, he has the wall. Nice.
Yep. Yeah, so that law is actually just going to generate a lot of resources and also establish a...
Yep, casual draw 4. And more importantly, another attacker established.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Zoro Sanji, who I believe started this turn with 3 cards in hand, is going to be ending it with 6. So...
Isn't it 7? Wait.
Maybe 7.
He bounced the VV, played the VV, and then bounced her back to hand. Oh no, maybe it is 6. Maybe it is 6. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so the problem is, if the first game is going this long, if the second one also goes this long, they will not be able to finish it, because the time rules are like, if you enter time and one player is up, then there is no like extension. It's just... Actually, don't quote me on that. I haven't entered time in Top Cut in a while. Like I too rarely enter time to know the rules to a T. But I'm pretty sure the player who is up a game, if a regular round timer ends, it's just auto win. So...
Yeah, I don't know. In Japan, for some reason, people, every single decision takes them 2 minutes. I don't think that best of 3 with only an hour time limit. But definitely, if you lose this game 1, you're going to have to play out game 2 and 3 very quickly.
Okay, this is where Luka counts his counters and looks if he can survive Uzuhachi plus what would be 12k from Nami. Because if he can, maybe just take that gamble. Or like, you present that opportunity and hope your opponent just all wins and you win on the spot. Because if you free block, no harm done. I think he calculated, so let's see if Gaetano goes for it. Because I feel Gaetano should be understanding that the game is slowly slipping out of his control.
Yeah. It is probably... Oh, does he even have it in his hand, though?
Yeah, he searched it, no?
Don't...
Or maybe he countered it. Maybe he countered, yeah.
Yeah, no. He countered last turn on the 7k hit with 2k. He does... no, it doesn't end up working out.
Oh yeah, thanks for
he doesn't
confirming
even have
it,
the option
Skepas.
to go for lethal.
Oh yeah, in that case, just a harmless free block, and Gaetano will look to develop. And Skype has confirmed that, yeah, if they reach the 1 hour time limit and there has been no winner decided, or like that, it's 1-0 and no winner decided for the second game, it's just the auto win of the match for the guy who is up.
See, what happens if it's 1-1 then?
Well,
And you're in the middle of game
they keep playing. They keep playing. So they get 2 extra turns or 10 minutes each.
Okay.
I think if Luka can counter this, like block counter and then also still have the counter for Nami, just bait the swing, no? Otherwise, because if you can do it, you're getting the most efficient block anyways. But does he have a second 2k? So, oh, he does. So he can do it. Effect over attach over. Getting some concerns from viewers. The Nami Don, the Don to Nami is attached by the effect of Luffy. Okay, and Luka now has the game won. Nice. This was a very, very grindy and.
Yeah, and the nice thing about these best of threes, we did see Gaetano in the first game potentially playing around 7-cost Hody, but after not seeing it for the entire game, he may be starting to think that maybe Luka just doesn't even run it, and maybe he'll change the way that he plays, leaves his Dong up in the later turns in the game.
No. Actually, looking at the Luka's hand now, it doesn't look that good. Like, there's a lot of pretty dead cards. He could go for, like... No, there's no good option here. He can play down Wanderdecken, I think, and then next turn play Law for Mihawk for Arlong, and then Arlong lock the leader, and then you have at least one body survive a God Thread. And that's where you can start pulling off. But maybe he needs to save that play for 7, so that on 9 he can play the Mihawk and... interesting.
I just can't get used to this Mihawk card. I can't tell what it is in hand.
Yeah, no, the art is beautiful. It looks so nice, IRL. It's one of the reasons I was like, after wanting to play Zoro Sanji for a while, I finally got the illustration box and I saw this Mihawk and I'm like, I finally own the card. I'm building Zoro Sanji straight away. And then I picked up like the Arlong extended arts and whatnot. Okay, what Gaetano just did, I think, is going to put him in a very bad position because he pretty much guaranteed this Arlong survives and Luka gets to swing with it. And I think Luka also had the green Zoro, so he's really going to be able to like punish because he can play the green Zoro, attack it with the Mihawk, Arlong 6 face, leader 6 face. Oh, he didn't have a 2k besides the Mihawk.
Do you think you just attach Dong to your Luffy and just swing into it to try to make sure you get rid of the Arlong?
I think that would be a safer play just so he doesn't get rushed down. It's by just pure luck that Luka doesn't have any 2Ks in hand to... Because this is really rough for Luka now that he pretty much is left to his own devices. Because he doesn't have Vivi, I believe, doesn't have Cavendish. There's no way to generate advantage in his hand. If he had a 2K and he could keep this green Zoro, then I think he completely takes over the board. But if he has another... Yeah.
I mean, on the other hand, Blooper Luffy kind of facing the opposite problem, where he has too many 2Ks, having to cut those Usahachis.
Yeah, I would say that is a sweeter problem to have when your board is being attacked. But less sweet when it's your life being attacked. So, let's see. I'm being delivered snacks. This regional is great. I just want to say, like, organization, I would say, I mean, I'm part of the organization, so I'm kind of self-glazing. But I would say it has been pretty good organization. And also people bringing me snacks, so I'm happy. Shoutouts to Tony Vavra.
Yeah, Blooper Luffy's hand has a lot of bricks in it. You see, I think 2 Sanjis, a Mihawk, and maybe even 1 more brick. Although I may be mistaken because he's flipping through his hands very quickly. So he doesn't. He also seems to not have the God Thread, importantly. So these Arlongs are just going to do lots of chip damage very quickly.
Eric Simpson with the Herway getting the Chavapi and Kaima can delivered. Yeah, I'm not getting any greasy food. I am working in like a semi-professional setting, so I can't eat anything greasy, but just like enough to keep me going because I believe we'll be here for a while. This match has been a grind fest and there's still 3 more rounds of Top Cut to go. My biggest hope is that Kai holds out because what time is it now in Japan, Kai?
It is 2 a.m.
Ooh, okay.
But I mean,
yeah.
I'll survive. I can survive as long as I need to, but I'm just worried about tomorrow.
Well, actually, Luca still, if he has the Mihawk in hand, he still has like quite a nice line where he can attack with Zoro Sanji, bounce the Arlong, restand Arlong, play low, bounce Arlong, play Mihawk, play Arlong, discard the other Arlong, lock the leader, and then only what's his name, Bonkley can attack. So he can do like quite the ping pong on his board, which is part of the reason why 5-cost law is one of my favorite cards in the game. Like the stuff he enables is way too fun and addictive.
Yeah, I understood that last part. The other parts, I'm just going to believe they're true. Seems like he's going to play the 5-cost law first, though. Bouncing back the Arlong.
Oh, he had the VV.
Play
Okay,
VV.
nice. I like this as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because
and then just going to go for that 6k hit with the leader. Bounce back the VV to hand, and hit again with Arlong for 7k. And now, let's see if he has another 2k. He takes the life.
Yeah, the reason he doesn't leave
one of those things.
Yep. The reason he doesn't leave the Arlong rested now is because he's expecting the 8-cost Luffy to possibly to come down, and if it does, then the Arlong gets bounced anyways. So there's no reason not to attack with him. And if up Luffy attacks into the Arlong instead of your life, you're also happy, because it's easier for you to cut down your hand size with countering to replay that VV and get the same value again. We have up Luffy thinking on the sequencing of his top deck, which makes me think he doesn't have a Sanji in hand, because usually... Is he sending it to the bottom? Oh, that's...
He seems like he's thinking about it. Yeah, sends it to the bottom.
Like, the ideal card for him to have here would be Gravity Blade, so... Because then you just clean up the active bodies, and then we enter the same grind game we had in game 1. Because usually, up Luffy is able to do that initial clear, and then it's on Zoro Sanji to rebuild the board, and if he does, then he starts taking over in terms of advantage. But if he's not able to do so, then the game falls away. And he actually has 3 Sanjis in hand. But I believe he'll choose to play the safe option in the Mihawk we just saw, and bottom the 5-cost law.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of overdrawing his Sanji's, not really finding the counters. So he picked up a lot of 2Ks in the early game, which led to him not being able to defend that 7K from Arlong just now. So coming back to him in that way, he has also picked up the 3rd public Usohachi. So as the game goes on, the threat of that potentially resting something like Law is all. So lots of small things to consider. Things kind of just not really panning out for Blue Purple Luffy right now. So it seems like probably the best play here would be to just slam down something like the 9-cost Mihawk and mitigate as much damage as possible.
It has to be the Mihawk, right? I assume... Okay, once again, another card you have to consider besides the Hoodie is the Deadman's Game, which is a very cheap way to get some additional swings in. He's separating Dawn into piles of 5. I really don't like this. Because this is how the last game also went awry when... Oh my god, he just keeps drawing the bricks. He keeps drawing the bricks.
Yeah, he's finding every single target for Sanji, but not when he wants them.
But yeah, now that he's not answering the board, the Green Zoro Sanji 6k attackers are sticking. This is where we also know the Mihawk is coming down next turn. So like Oka can play the 8-cost Mihawk, get 4 down back, play Vivi, swing 6-7, 6-7. Like, how do you keep up with that? He's just going to defend this like very happily. He's going to throw a 2k, 1k. I'm guessing the Kozaburo, and I don't see the rest of his hand. But literally any 1k, probably the Perona from what he has. Because you want to keep the Vivi.
Yeah. I mean, the best case scenario for that Nami would be to just find a bunch of 1Ks and 2Ks to be able to deal with 6k chip damage. Because he has so many events in his hand, it is kind of awkward to deal with these lower attacks that just keep coming over and over. But the lower risk play would be to just play that 9-cost Mihawk and get rid of the law, guaranteeing at least getting rid of that one attack and slowly starting to deal with the other attacks or other cards on the board after. Yeah, cuts the 2k, 1k, cuts the Mihawk over the Cold Widow, and now Zoro Sanji just trying to see how many potential hits he can make in this turn to just bully Blue Purple Luffy as hard as possible.
Yeah, he's just gonna... It's a 4 attack turn from 3 bodies. That stuff goes... eats away at hand very quickly, because 4 attacks per turn, while up Luffy only has 2 cards per turn gained. At most, he gets those 4 cards back if he plays a giant. And there goes the third Uzahachi. That was known information.
Yep.
Down comes the Mihawk. And I wonder, Luka might even play the Nami to have another 7k swing, but I think Vivi is just safer. With Vivi, you keep drawing cards.
Oh, the Vivi's so good.
Yeah.
I do think that I believe he played the non-alt art Vivi the turn before and played the alt art Vivi on this turn though. So I mean, I don't know.
I have a loose memory of that happening as well, but I don't see the regular art in his hand now. So
yeah.
I'm assuming you're just hallucinating that. But now that you're also saying it, but then again, it's 2 a.m. You're probably hallucinating much more than I am. So
I'm pretty sure that we saw the regular alt VV the turn before, but
what are Zonji's bad matchups? Uchi? Enel is actually pretty decent. Booyah Nami really depends on how Nami opens, because it's only Uchi is like a certified bad matchup because there's everything. And Awkward is saying that Luka already discarded the non-alt art as a counter.
Okay.
Here's a simple free block and a 1k. Yeah, I mean...
I do think there's actually a Lucci in the top 16 when I was looking over the decks list very quickly. So
it's one of the Croatian OG players, Ivan Bošković. I hope he also gets featured on stream. I forget what he's... I think he's up against another up Luffy. Speaking of up Luffy, I think this one's time might be up. Yep, I said it. I'm sorry. That's why they don't let me do this without supervision.
Oh, dude, the resource generation from this leader is so strong.
And in OP13, when he gets the 5-cost Yamato, in OP13, the dreams are so... the turns are so insane. Yeah, the bulldozer is coming through.
Yeah. In our long break between round 8 and Topka, I was looking at my Zoro, but it's just really hard to fit in the cards that you actually want in OP13.
I agree. I've been cooking for... I've been testing on Sim regularly. I'll try to play the deck or get it as solved as possible by the release date, but no need to be hasty. Like, there's plenty of time until OP13, and worst case, I can just fall back on the safe, strong option that everybody loves, which is Emu.
Yeah, I mean, Ema is just deceptively... Like, it's not really a deck that's, like, deceptively... I mean, it's deceptively nuanced, but it's also deceptively fun. Like, it seems like it'd be a very simple, kind of polarizing deck. But, very intricate. Zoro Sanji, also a very intricate deck, and is able to pick up the win.
Yep, that was the fist bump from Gaetano.
Zoro Sanji in top 8.